Right, so this is episode 4 in a series we are doing where I am asked 3 questions by subscribers of this channel or by followers of us on our other social media channels relating to questions about employment law, employment, general recruitment, how companies work. If you haven't watched our channel before and you think, what do these guys do, what are they about? We do videos aimed to help employees, and that's employees either in work or seeking work. The way our channel is constructed and the way it works is we give you a real insight into how things actually work, dig beneath the surface a bit and read between the lines to give you the actual truth of things. If this sounds like the kind of content that's going to interest you, do consider subscribing to our channel, and if you do, don't forget to click the bell icon and click all so you're not going to miss any one of our videos. There is a lot of chatter online and in the employment industry to argue that people should change job fairly regularly. And the magic number that's being thrown around at the moment is 2 years. I personally disagree with that narrative that you should change job regularly for the sake of changing job and that you should change it over any set period of time. The narrative that is being peddled around is that if you change job regularly, it will keep your skills fresh so they won't get stale, and secondly, you will be able to earn more money quicker by changing jobs more regularly. However, I'm not so sure that the message that's being broadcast out has anything other than an ulterior motive in mind. Bear in mind, this particular message is being broadcast and peddled out by recruiters. And being a recruiter myself, I know very much how this industry works. The way we get paid is when we place someone in a job, certainly for permanent recruitment that is, we will get paid a fee if that person stays in that job for 3 months. Okay, so if you're in a position where you're telling people, telling the marketplace to change job regularly, there's a higher frequency of fees coming in. If you tell people to stay in a job for 5 years or 10 years plus, the market slows down and you won't have as regular fees coming in. So you want the market to be buoyant, you want people moving around. So guess what? If you're peddling out the narrative, change job every 2 years, who's that going to suit? It's going to suit a recruiter because you're going to make more money on a regular basis. Changing jobs every 2 years, yes, it may lead or have something to do with an increase in the amount of money you're going to get. It may lead to further training and development to upskill you. But that's not necessarily anything to do with just changing job for the sake of it. That's more to do with the companies you're choosing to work for rather than just moving job every 5 minutes. What you're looking for is to go to a company that can suffice your needs now, but also moving forward. If you go to a company, there are many companies out there that are just going to offer you top dollar for money, you have to look at it and take a bit of a helicopter viewpoint of why they are doing that. If a company's paying you top dollar, why would they pay you top dollar if they offer fantastic training internally? If they're paying money over the odds, above the odds of all of the competition, they're not paying you to then bring you in and then give you training. They're paying you for your skill set that you have now. And it doesn't necessarily mean, therefore, that they're going to bolt any extra skills on. They're paying because they need your skills because they don't have them. If they don't have your skills now, what exactly are they going to be training you for the future that's going to benefit you? You have to bear that in mind. And it's not to say that they can't progress you or they're not just a great paying company, but in the majority of instances, if they're paying you above market rate, they're paying you for your skills, not because they can train you. The companies that I generally find are the better companies to work for tend to be the companies that pay a competitive salary, but probably not quite at the very, very top, where it might be where you look at it and you might be a couple of grand down on the top paying companies. But the difference is that those companies, they probably will invest in your training to keep your skills up to scratch. They probably will give you a progression path to be able to develop you, and you'll probably have more of a longer tenure in those businesses. The companies are just paying you top dollar, that's great, but if they're only paying you top dollar for your skill set and they're not investing in your training, 2 years later, if you don't have any further skills because they haven't trained you, why is someone just going to pay you more money? That formula of moving job regularly, it falls short when you look at the bigger picture. In truth, on most occasions that people are rejected from jobs, it's not for the genuine reasons that they were actually rejected from the job. And that's not to say that companies are fabricating reasons or lying about reasons for rejecting you for a job for immoral reasons, that they maybe don't care or they're callous or they just can't be bothered to give genuine feedback, the majority of occasions that companies have rejected people with reasons that are fabricated, it's because if there is any risk, large or small, that that reason for rejection could be seen as discriminatory or in any way offensive or be taken in the wrong context, then there is a risk, therefore, that it could land that company or the individuals in question that have rejected you in hot water. And that can range from them having a bad bit of PR in social media right through to bringing the company into disrepute and a mass media campaign against them. And you do see instances online where companies have been subjected to a lot of bad media coverage, very negative media coverage, where it completely changes the public's perception of that company because of something that has come out in the media. And companies just don't want to take that risk. One of the routes that a company has of public communication is when it comes to interviews. All companies generally won't give you the real reasons for rejection if there is that risk of it coming back on them. So don't look at it that they're trying to be difficult. There is a genuine reason for it, and I wish it wasn't that way, and I'm sure that most companies would love to give you the genuine reasons for rejecting you, but the reality of the world that we live in, it means that on those odd occasions where someone does take offence, it could land them all in hot water, and they just don't want to take the risk. Okay, so the way I'd actually answer this question is to come back at you with a question, which is, what were your original reasons for leaving in the first place? If your reason for leaving in the first place was purely and solely to get more money, and then you've got a counter offer, then my advice would actually just be to go and take the counter offer, because why wouldn't you? That's what you set out to achieve in the first place, right? And you might think, well, hang on a minute, you're a recruiter. Surely you shouldn't be giving me that advice. Surely you should be giving me a justification of why taking a counter offer is a bad thing. And I'll go on to that part in a moment, but in all honesty, you will have recruiters that will give you that advice. But I've got no sympathy for any recruiter that couldn't work out or was too stupid to work out that your reason for leaving in the first place was purely and simply to get more money. I have no sympathy for them, because a basic principle of our job and the basic principle of the profession that we do all day long is to be able to suss you out for your reasons for leaving. If your reason for leaving isn't to get more money, then taking a counter offer is the wrong thing to do. Yes, we all want more money, but it was to do with other factors that your current company aren't giving you or aren't facilitating, but that new job that you're going to take, that takes away those reasons for leaving. If you don't go and take that job, you're just going to find yourself in a position where in a few months' time, when you get used to that pay rise, that those reasons for leaving come back again anyway, and you just still want to leave. So it's not going to solve anything. It's a short-term decision by taking a counter offer. But the second reason why that's a bad one is, if anything, you're locking yourself in further. You're making the situation worse for you. Because bear in mind, if you could afford to take that job before the counter offer came into play, then you can afford basically to move on now. But as people, we are in this awkward position where we have a habit of living to the limit of our means, regardless of how much we get paid. You'll find people that if they earn 100 grand a year, they'll find a way of spending 100 grand a year. If you've got someone that earns 30 grand a year, they'll find a way of spending 30 grand a year. So if that's how you work, and the reality is no matter how much you're earning, you'll always find a way of incrementally spending all that money, then it's not going to solve the problem, because you're just going to be in a position where in a few months' time, when you do realise you actually want to move on again, the amount of money you're now on, those other companies, they can't compete, because the counter offer is there to put those companies at bay, to put their offers at bay, so you're not interested in them. But if you're then stuck in this position where you still don't want the job, but you're locked into more money and now you can't afford to leave because nobody's going to offer you the money that you need now to facilitate your lifestyle, you've just made things worse for yourself. But if you did set out just to get more money in the first place and you get a counter offer, just take the counter offer, move on, and stuff the recruiter who was too stupid to be able to work that out in the first place. And that's my honest advice. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed this video and I answered those questions. If you do have any questions that you want to see in forthcoming videos, do put them in and I'll try and include those. And thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, like, and we'll see you for the next video.